Good victory, Cowboys Nation. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into a tough question that's been floating around Cowboys Nation. Is Deuce Vaughn being left out in the cold in this running back room? With new faces coming in and competition heating up, the undersized spark plug out of K-State might be on the outside looking in. We're breaking down the depth chart, the roster moves, and what this all means for Deuce's future in Dallas. Let's get into it. Let's go ahead and address the elephant in the room. A lot of Cowboys fans are already writing off Deuce Vaughn like he's just a preseason highlight reel. And honestly, that kind of mindset just doesn't add up, especially when you look at what this offense is trying to become under Brian Schottenheimer and newly hired offensive coordinator, Clayton Adams. First off, nobody should be overlooking any of the running backs in this room, period. Not with the changes that have been made to the offensive line. Drafting Tyler Booker in the first round wasn't just about adding another name to the trenches. It was a signal. This front office is trying to get more physical, more downhill, more smash mouth. That means whoever's toting the rock is going to be running behind a line that finally looks built to punch people in the mouth and win in the trenches. It's a different mentality than we've seen in recent years, and that opens the door for multiple backs, not just one featured guy, to have real impact. And that brings us to Deuce Vaughn, who's been written off because of his size more than anything else. Yeah, he's small. Nobody's arguing that. But if you've got a line that's blowing holes open and playing bully ball, a guy like Deuce can be lethal. Think about it. Defenders already have trouble locating smaller backs when they're darting around behind big linemen. Now imagine trying to spot Vaughn behind a revamped, powerful Cowboys O-line that's pushing defenders 5 yards off the ball. He's a jitterbug who can hide in plain sight and then explode through a crease before anyone even knows he's gone. We also need to stop this trend of predetermining who's going to be the main guy before the pads even come on. Is Javonte Williams the guy? Maybe. Is Miles Sanders going to eat into early downs? Could be. Did the team bring in a rookie or another camp body to compete? Sure. But none of that guarantees anything. This is going to be a competition. Schottenheimer himself has been crystal clear. He wants to run the ball more efficiently. That doesn't mean force-feeding a back 25 carries just because he's the biggest name or has the highest cap hit. Efficiency means getting the most out of each carry, and sometimes that comes from platooning guys and leaning on their specific skill sets. Now let's not pretend Deuce Vaughn didn't show us something his rookie year. Yeah, most of his flashes came in the preseason. But so what? Production is production. The man made defenders miss, he picked up chunk yardage, and he showed patience and vision you don't expect from a rookie. That wasn't just gadget player hype. That was a guy making the most of his reps. And if you can do it in preseason, there's at least a chance you can do it in real games, especially when you've had an off-season to build up physically and mentally. Finally, let's talk scheme. That Tyler Booker pick again, it's telling. This coaching staff doesn't appear to be building around wide zone or a Shanahan-style outside stretch game. This ain't about getting to the edge and turning the corner. This is about pushing upfield, double teams, trap blocks, gap schemes. That kind of offense fits guys like Vaughn more than people realize. You give him one cut and go, and he doesn't need 10 yards of space to make a play. He needs one clean crease. So, is Deuce Vaughn going to be left out in the cold? That depends on your perspective. If you think this coaching staff is going to play favorites or fall back on old habits, maybe. But if you believe the Cowboys are serious about fielding the best unit, not just the biggest name, then you have to believe Deuce has a legitimate shot to carve out a role. He's cheap, he's quick, he's tough, and he's dangerous when used the right way. Bottom line, this running back room isn't about who looks best on paper. It's about who produces on the field. And if we're being honest, Deuce Vaughn has already shown us he deserves at least a fair shot to be part of that equation. So now that we've broken down the big picture with Deuce Vaughn and the running back room, let's take it a step further and talk predictions. If I had to put money on it today, I'm saying the 3 running backs who make the final 53-man roster are Miles Sanders, Jaydon Blue, and Deuce Vaughn. Let's start with Miles Sanders. Now look, I get it. His season with Carolina wasn't great. In fact, it was probably the worst year of his career. The Panthers' offense was a mess, their O-line was inconsistent, and Sanders never really found his rhythm. But don't forget what he did in Philly just one season prior. Behind a strong offensive line and with a clear role, he put up over 1,200 yards and showed he could be a reliable every-down back. He's a guy who can pass protect, catch the ball, and grind out tough yards between the tackles when you need it. That makes him, arguably, the most complete back in this group. He's not elite, but he doesn't have many holes in his game either. If the Cowboys can give him some daylight behind this new-look line and keep his workload balanced, he could quietly be one of the most important signings of the offseason. Next, we've got Jaydon Blue, and I'll be real, this kid is different. Explosive, shifty, slippery in the open field, and he's got that extra gear once he hits the second level. He was underused at Texas for stretches, but when he got his touches, he showed why he was one of the top recruits in the country coming out of high school. Now here's the thing. There really shouldn't be much debate about whether Blue makes the team. He's a lock. The real question is, will he be RB1 or RB2? That's how impressive he's looked in early workouts and how natural he is in space. He's got the kind of skill set that demands touches, and if the Cowboys are smart, they'll find ways to scheme him open both as a runner and receiver. Picture him as the lightning to someone else's thunder. But with his skill set, it wouldn't be a shock if he ends up leading the team in all-purpose yards by season's end. It's that kind of ceiling. Now let's circle back to Deuce Vaughn, because this is where things could get interesting. Deuce is what I'd call the X factor in this group, the potential secret weapon in the backfield. His size, which most people see as a disadvantage, might actually work in his favor, especially with a more physical O-line paving the way. He's hard to find, hard to hit, and deceptively strong for his frame. He's got a low center of gravity that allows him to absorb contact and keep moving forward. But there's more to it than just skill set. Don't overlook the connection he has with Cooper Beebe, his former Kansas State teammate and now Cowboys lineman. That chemistry matters. When you've got a lineman who already understands how a back likes to run, where he cuts, how he paces himself, when he accelerates, that's valuable. It's like having a lead blocker who's speaking the same language. Then there's Clayton Adams, now the offensive coordinator, and Brian Schottenheimer, who has stepped into the role of head coach. These two are shaping the identity of this offense, and it's clear they're not looking to mimic what didn't work in the past. Adams brings a fresh mindset focused on building a physical, efficient, and creatively balanced attack. And Schottenheimer has made it no secret. He wants this team to run the ball more effectively and with purpose. With their philosophy in place, there's a real opportunity for Deuce Vaughn to carve out a role. He's not going to be your bell cow, but if they use him smartly, on draws, screens, misdirections, or even motion packages, he can be a nightmare matchup. And knowing that this coaching staff values efficiency and versatility, Deuce might just get a legitimate shot to be part of that weekly game plan. Not just a gimmick guy, an actual contributor. Let me get into something I know is going to stir up a little debate. Miles Sanders versus Javonte Williams. Now I know a lot of folks in Cowboys Nation have been hyping up Javonte Williams as a potential steal or a power back worth banking on. And look, I get the appeal. He's got a strong frame, he's tough to bring down, and he's shown flashes of being a real problem in the open field when healthy. But here's the thing. If we're talking about who fits better in this Cowboys offense under Clayton Adams, and who has the tape to back up long-term consistency, give me Miles Sanders all day. Sanders is, in a lot of ways, a quicker version of Javonte. He's got better burst through the hole, cleaner acceleration when he gets into space, and while he might not have the same bruiser rep, his contact balance is still very underrated. The man doesn't go down easy. And if you actually go back and watch the 2022 Eagles tape, you'll see him slashing through holes, planting that foot, and hitting second gear like a guy who knows how to make something out of nothing. That's not scheme fluff, that's vision and speed. Meanwhile, Javonte has struggled to regain his full explosiveness after that knee injury. Last year in Denver, you saw some hesitation in his cuts and a noticeable dip in his top-end burst. He's more of a power catcher at this point, a guy who'll lower the shoulder and pick up tough yards, but lacks the lateral quickness to really threaten the edge or make defenders miss in tight spaces. And with this new-look Cowboys offensive line that's geared more toward power gap concepts rather than wide zone finesse, a back who can find the crease and get north-south fast is going to thrive. That's exactly where Sanders shines. Plus, Miles Sanders has proven he can carry the load in both pass protection and receiving. He's not elite as a pass catcher, but he's solid and, more importantly, dependable. You can leave him in on third down without tipping your hand. Williams? He's still a work in progress in that area. And honestly, I think his style is more suited to being a change of pace or short yardage back rather than a true lead option. So to me, it's pretty clear. Miles Sanders is just a cleaner, more explosive version of what people want Javonte Williams to be. That's not to say Javonte doesn't have value, but in this offense, with this line, and with the Cowboys' focus on efficiency over flash, Sanders is simply the better fit. So here's the bottom line, folks. The Cowboys' running back room might not have a flashy superstar name right now, but what it does have is competition, versatility, and real potential. Miles Sanders brings veteran reliability and a well-rounded game. Jaydon Blue is the young gun with breakout speed and upside that could completely change the dynamic of this offense. And Deuce Vaughn, despite being counted out by many, could quietly become the secret weapon, especially with the trust of his former teammate Cooper Beebe, and under the vision of head coach Brian Schottenheimer and offensive coordinator Clayton Adams, who seem genuinely interested in building a physical, efficient, and unpredictable ground attack. No one should be walking into training camp thinking the depth chart is already set in stone. If anything, this is going to be one of the more exciting position battles to watch. And if the Cowboys truly lean into the identity they're building, with a power offensive line, creative play design, and a willingness to maximize different skill sets, then there's absolutely room for a guy like Deuce Vaughn to not just make this roster, but contribute in real ways. So before we crown anyone RB1 or write anyone off, let's remember, it's May. Pads aren't even on yet. Let the competition speak for itself. If you liked this breakdown, drop a like, leave a comment, and let me know who you think will be the top 3 backs come week 1. And if you're new here, go ahead and subscribe. More Cowboys content is on the way, and you don't want to miss it. Catch y'all in the next one.
Go Cowboys!